Good morning, Supercross race fans. Welcome to round 14, and you guys are watching the virtual track walk presented by Dunlop Motorcycle Tires. I have my good friend Brock Glover with me today here to talk about the track. The track is going to be completely different from what you've seen on Saturday, so we're going to be breaking it down section by section. Brock?
Hey, good morning, Tyler. Yeah, exciting. It's Mother Nature is cooperating today. We have beautiful blue skies here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and I think the riders are going to be treated with a very, very good track in great condition and no more of that slippery, slimy southern red clay of Georgia.
Yeah, so as you guys can see, the start hasn't changed. The start's to the exact same spot, exactly the same first corner as we're going through these Suzuki Tough Blocks. But where it is going to change is right after this first corner, we're going to go over this Oakley double, and we're going to actually veer to the left. So this lane that's to the right is going to come back at us. We're going to come back the other way, and we're going to be shooting the left and kind of a little fork in the road right here. And that's going to send us on a whole different path on this track. And let me tell you guys, this track is going to be a little bit faster, exceeding the weather. We have way better weather. The track, was all in sunshine yesterday, and it's going to be in sunshine again today. So Dirtworks is going to have their hands full watering this track and just keeping the moisture in it. But, besides that, this is going to be a great racetrack, really consistent weather conditions throughout the whole entire day and throughout the night. What's going to really, I think it's going to come down to who's going to have the best setup, who's going to have the right tire selection, and who's going to kind of develop with the conditions. Because as we've seen on Saturday, that there was some hard pack spots, and then there's also some loose stuff as well.
Yeah, the one thing that's going to be really important, as you mentioned, the Dirtworks crew, it's going to be important for them to keep the moisture in the track throughout the daytime sessions once the practice sessions start in the early afternoon, and to not, what I call, lose the track. And then it's, if it gets too dry, too hard packed, then they can't really put a lot of moisture on it, otherwise it gets treacherous. So if they keep some moisture in it all the way until the sunset, and then at that time we'll be fine because it'll be cooler temperatures in the evening, and it won't be an issue to be able to keep water on the track. So just as long as they don't lose the track, and they're as good as anybody in the world at doing this. So hopefully the racetrack will be really fantastic. And being such a long track and such a big, open, wide track, I just look forward to a terrific night of racing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to elaborate a little bit more on losing the track, what Brock's talking about is just there's ruts that are going to form during the practice, and you have to keep those ruts moisturized so they can hold together. When you start, drying out, the soil stuff starts breaking apart, the track just starts deteriorating, and it just starts breaking apart more, meaning more chuck holes, and then all that good, dirt that once formed a rut will be at the edge of the track and super loose, and there'll be no more traction on the track, and then it's just left with this hard surface. So that's where it gets really technical. The track's not good, and it's not fun for these riders to be racing on it, because you're really just trying to tiptoe around corners and kind of finesse your way around the track, where if they keep the moisture in it, they're going to be able to attack this track all the way through. But as we've seen on Saturday, the track is huge. The track is massive, so I didn't think it got as rough as a normal Supercross track, because we weren't doing, 10 laps for a heat race and 30 laps for a main event. We only had 6 laps as, a heat race and 12 laps for a main event. So that helps the track, and I think helps the track crew as well for keeping this track good throughout the day.
You're spot on that. When you have a lot less laps, there's less riders tearing up the track, and it tends to be in better condition. Again, we battled Mother Nature on Saturday, but here on a Tuesday evening, we're not going to have that issue. The weather's perfect. So again, we just want to make sure that the track stays good. And the thing that I love about this track, Tyler, and you probably saw it too, there's a lot of room for passing. It's a bigger track, a wider track, so the riders can really, really race each other as opposed to trying to race just the track as we enter the set of whoops right here.
Yeah, no, when we're entering this set of whoops, they didn't remake these whoops. So they're kind of hitting backwards, but the starter whoop, they built a starter whoop so you can get on top of them, but they're actually going to be a little bit easier because these whoops were loader whoops. So the front side usually would be coming at us, right? So that's going to be the steeper side. The more mellower side is the side that they're going to be hitting this round. So it's going to be a little bit easier, especially for the guys that are kind of timid on the whoop section, are going to have a little bit easier time through this set of whoops, particularly just because they're not going to be so steep. But the whoop riders are still going to shine because, when you got whoop speed, even if they're gnarly or if they're easy. It's just going to be less of a separator on this track. And, we're going high up on this Monster Energy burn, and we're going into our second, full rhythm section on the Supercross track. And I'm interested to see kind of what they can do, see if they can triple on here onto this tabletop, or they're going to elect, to double and then maybe quad off of this face of the tabletop. But we really seen a couple different variations, but I feel like the huge separators were on the fast sections. Don't you kind of agree, Brock?
Yeah, they really were. And we got to see a lot of, and as you mentioned, much of this track is actually going in the opposite direction when you talked about the loader whoops. So it's going to be fun. The riders are going to have some familiarity with where they are on the track, but they're going in the opposite direction. So, it's going to be interesting to see what combinations of, when you talk about the rhythm, if they're the 450s are going to get full triple out of that and land up on the tabletop, or are they going to go double and try to launch off the face of the table and do maybe a quad. So it's, you never know. These guys are always doing things that amaze both of us, I think, at this point. And it's incredible to watch the races. But, I'm just excited because, again, I feel like the riders are going to get to race each other as opposed to just the track. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. And, with that being said, this was actually one of the most technical corners, going back the other way right before this 353. And we're going into, a brand new obstacle for this section. So that used to be a tabletop. That's going to be, a 6 or 7 foot single now. And they're going to have to kind of navigate their way through this, chicane section where it really tightens up and the racers get really close. It just seemed like everybody wanted to stick to the inside through that chicane. But we seen, Aaron Plessinger get, a little wobbly there. And then I think a few other riders too. So, key section right back there is just looking at the line selection, making sure they can navigate their way through that section. But, we're going up to the Honda singles right here. And this was pretty easy section going back the other way, but now we're going into this section and we're going into the fastest part of the section. And I'm interested to see if they can, still triple through this section, or these things are going to become just, high speed rollers where they're just power wheeling, just shifting up and going straight into this double.
Yeah, I think the power wheelie is the way to go, try to get some running speed for this right here. But it's again, you mentioned Aaron Plessinger, and we thought what looked like he was going to go on to his first 450 Premier Class win, and unfortunately just one minor fall, and he just lost everything, kind of lost the whole rhythm, lost his whole drive, and never really got it back. So it's going to be fun to see if he can rebound. There are a lot of riders that had chances to look like have top finishes, and the one who ended up coming out on top was the one who was the most cautious in the early rounds. I mean, if you watch the first lap or two of what Eli Tomac did, he took it very, very easy on the first lap. A couple of laps, didn't take any unnecessary chances, and it all paid off in the end. But these conditions are going to be quite different tonight, so I think it's going to take whoever gets a good start. They need to put the hammer down immediately and try to gap the field behind them.
Yeah. And do you think this track today that we're going to see is going to be suiting, our top 3 championship contenders like Cooper Webb, Eli Tomac, and Ken Rocks, and that we've seen that we're out of the top 5 on Saturday qualifying, and it was Aaron Plesser, Chase Sexton, Malcolm Stewart, and Jason Anderson in those top 4 qualifying spots, and that we've seen that were just absolutely crushing this track on Saturday. Do you think that script is going to get flipped today?
There's a couple of things. Obviously, Cooper Webb isn't probably the best mud rider that we have out there. I mean, that, you think of mud riders, you look at the Justin Barshas, you look at the Aaron Plessingers. These guys are the ones that you think about as our best mud riders. Also, you have to consider, as long as Cooper Webb keeps Ken Roczen behind him and doesn't let Eli Tomac get too far out ahead of him. He's really in the driver's seat right now. He's closing in. The series is getting towards the end. He understands the championship is what he's after. He's not going to take unnecessary risks. So he'll go for the win if he needs to, but I don't think he's going to take unnecessary risks. And that all said, you've got the Justin Barshas, you've got the Chase Sextons, you've got the Aaron Plessingers, the guys like this that are like, I'm after my win. I need a win here. Justin Barcia doesn't want to be the one and done, wins the first round and doesn't win another race all year. Plessinger and Sexton are still looking for their first Premier Class wins, and they have all the speed to do so. And then Jason Anderson looks like to be sometimes he's the fastest guy on the track, and he's quietly going a lot faster than anybody's you can remember unless you're really watching Jason. You don't realize how fast he is. So he has a great chance to win this thing tonight too.
Yeah, no. Everybody that you just named had phenomenal races within the race. Jason Anderson, was busting his way through the pack, and he didn't have a shifter head on his shifter, and he was stuck in fourth gear the whole time. And then Aaron Plessinger, he was leading almost more than half of this main event. And he just, had a little mental hiccup and, got off balance and washed his front end over that single. And then he just couldn't, find his rhythm again. And then, Chase Sexton, if it wasn't for Cade, a lot of people have their opinions on that. But, while you're leading that race, you're kind of so locked in. And then, anything can tilt that, either way, especially when it's your first win, because you're so fragile and you don't really know what to think about. You're not comfy in that situation yet. I think that just knocked him off, and he kind of panicked a little bit and maybe didn't make the smartest decision going to the inside. But, you live and learn, and those are the, decisions that are going to develop Chase Sexton, I think, into a future champion for sure. So, and he led most of that race and was, matching Eli Tomac's pace, lap for lap or even a little bit faster. So, the bike setup's going to be super similar. It might change a little bit just with the hard pack conditions that we're going to have today, but, a lot of talent here today, and they're showing up at this track, I think. And just looking at the championship right now, we have Cooper Webb in first. Ken Roczen's 22 points behind. So this is, a must win or a must beat situation for Cooper Webb. And then, Eli Tomac is 36 points behind. And then Justin Barcia is 69 points behind, the leaders. So those top five are kind of spread out, but Ken Roczen's in that kind of position where he could lose second place in this championship. But Ken Roczen's also close enough where if he wants to make a run at this thing, he needs to do it today.
Yeah, I honestly don't think Ken Roczen or any Eli Tomac, those riders not looking at, I might lose second place in the championship. They're thinking I want to win the championship or nothing. I mean, I don't mean second's the first loser at this point, but at their level, their elite level of the Supercross championship class, second is the first loser in their minds. I can guarantee you that. They're going for the championship. And so this last section we just saw there is going to be fun to watch because they come off that, they go into a wall jump there, a couple of fast doubles, a roller, and then this section here, they're going to be flying into the sand section right here. It's going to remind me a little bit of when they did the Monster Energy Cup. That time they came out of the stadium and they came flying into the stadium and one jump into a big sand pit. So it's going to be interesting to see how fast they enter these rollers here.
Yeah, and I think this is going to offer a little bit more technical aspect than people may think, because you're going to be slowing down in this sand. And I think you're going to see a lot of passes get made in this section, because with sand, it's already going to slow you down, a lot, just because the dirt's a lot heavier. So the person who can kind of figure out how hard they can push and how fast they can come into this section, I think you'll see a lot of different speed variances. One person might be cautious and be kind of cruising and then make it. And then if you see the aggressive rider, they could probably sneak in on this inside, and it goes into almost a full, 180. But this bowl corner is super wide when I was walking the track yesterday. So it's going to be open for a lot of passing. And, this is going to be your first corner along this whole entire start straight. What's like, it looked to be almost 2,000 feet long. So coming into this section and coming into this single section, what was a whoop section, on Saturday, it's gonna be interesting. This track is massive. There's so many passing opportunities for everybody, and it's such a big lap that it's, you got to make sure you're pushing all the way through and you're not pacing yourself.
Yeah, and then this wall jump, over under jump here, this tunnel jump. Last time the riders had to come into it at an angle, and when it was so slippery, we saw some complete ejections off the side there with some motorcycle damage in one of the 250 heat races. I won't call out any names there, but that was an incredible get off. And then this one now is going to be, at least they're going to be entering it kind of in a straight line, and the weather is, the track will be in ideal condition. So another good obstacle. You don't realize how high that is, that obstacle is, until you actually see it on camera and see it's, it's a good, when you're up on top, you have a nice view of the whole stadium and the whole track, or the whole speedway.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, continuing the fast pace of this track, we're going past the mechanics area right now and going through this straightaway. And dude, I got to guess that this track is probably going to be a good I would say 4 or 5 seconds faster than what we've seen on Saturday. Don't you agree?
Yeah, with the conditions plus the track, just the high speed of the track. Yes, absolutely. So, maybe they'll do a couple more laps, but, you're probably looking at the 130 lap time range, low 130. So, and we cut across the starting line there, and then right now enter back where we had that fork in the road in the beginning of this track walk, and right into a set of whoops right here.
Yeah, no, exactly. So that is going to conclude our virtual track walk presented by Dunlop Motorcycle Tires. Make sure you guys catch us this Saturday again for round 15 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And your times for today, make sure you guys don't miss Race Day Live at 1 p.m. And then we also have a delayed broadcast on 10 p.m. on NBCSN. So make sure you guys catch that today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on Saturday.